Welcome learners. In the last session, we were discussing about what is an entity, what goes behind creating a small database, and in fact, we created a small student database. In the present session, I intend to create an entire table and also have filtering operations onto it. You probably would see a lot of filtering onto e-commerce websites. For example, you would want to buy a new phone. Then you would put the filters according to the company. Let's say you're falling short of the budget. You'll try to sort it along the minimum and the maximum budget. What goes behind the backend queries, what goes behind filtering, and bit amount of keywords is the topic of discussion. We'll see it in much details in the video. So stay tuned. Let's dive into this session wherein I'm going to teach to you how you can filter a lot of data or in fact some amount of data in a good manner. What we are going to explore is a lot of select queries, but this time we will be exploring all these keywords. All these keywords will be helpful for you to organize the data when it comes to a table. For example, what I have done is downloaded a sample database from SQLite tutorial website. In fact, this website has got good amount of resources and I highly recommend you in order to use these resources for your own practice. In fact, I use this often for my work as well as training purpose. Let's begin with the first keyword, order by. When I just go into this albums, what I notice is album ID that's uniquely and in fact in the incremented manner been there in my table. However, the artist ID is just haphazardly placed. For example, after 1, 2 is repeated followed by another one. Well, what are these artist IDs? The corresponding artist ID mentioned of the ID is only present here and the artist details is present in altogether a separate table called as artist. What I'm going to show to you is how with the help of order by we will be able to order all these albums in an ascending order. Let's try writing a query. Select star from album order by artist ID. Now when I click on run, do you notice all this artist ID being sorted in ascending order? What it helps us in determining that now I can even find out the minimum artist ID, that's going to be 1, and if I keep dragging this scroll bar to the very bottom, it says that the end artist ID is 275. I can play along and also mention here the descending order by, wherein now you will notice it's been artist ID but in a reverse order, that is descending order. Next in my list is the distinct. Let's see, when we go on to this browse data and we go to this employees table, we see a list of all the titles that an employee could have, even some of the last name, first name options that the employee could have. Let's see, I need to understand what are the distinct titles that an employee could have. Over here, I'll put select distinct title from employees table, and when now I run my app, you'll see there are 5 different titles that are there. Well, this table is actually having a small amount of data. To be precise, it just has 1 to 8 that is total 8 rows into the table. Hence, the distinct was quite a short number of columns. This can be very helpful in huge chunks of data where you want to actually get distinct details of a column. Next in the list is going to be AND. Let's see, now I'll move to the invoices column. Now over here I have this particular guy who's having an invoice ID 19, who's having the billing city to be Paris. Let's see if Paris is repeated multiple times. Yes. What I would want to have is all the invoices that belong to two cities. That is, or in fact, all the invoices that have got Paris, and let's see the total is greater than or equal to 5. What do I mean? Let's see, I'll put over here select star from invoices table, where let me check the column name, billing city, where billing city equal to Paris and total is greater than 5. Yeah, so this basically filters the data along with the billing city to be Paris, and also one more clause, that is total. Similarly, what I could also try and do is go to this playlist, or in fact have this tracks information, where I can see that if the album ID is 1 and the media ID or media type ID is 1, only those details I'll be requiring. So let's write one more select star from tracks, where album ID equals to 1 and media type ID equals to 1. So in this case, what you notice is even the composer details and the name of the album ID to be there, but all of the data belong to media type ID 1 and album ID 1. Well, that's the AND keyword. Similarly, I can show to you the exact same data with an OR keyword. So let's see, instead of AND, we put an OR and run this. Do you notice that even if any of the cities has got a total to be greater than 5, it's reflecting, and if any of the cities has got Paris, it's reflecting. So basically, if I just remove the OR condition and try to run, it gives me billing city Paris data. If I put the OR condition, it gives me a whole chunk of data. That's this column or the total greater than 5. Next in the list I have is limit. Now, when I ran this query along with OR, what did you notice? It's returning close to 187 rows. Let's see, I want it to limit to 100. Now when I run, did you notice now the result shows that 100 rows got returned? Hence, limit kind of puts a limit to the returning parameter, and in that case we will be having that designated limits only. For example, if I would put select star from employees limit 100 and try to run this, then you'll notice that limit 100 is not going to be reached. That's because all the total rows including all the employees is just going up to 8. Hence, this won't make a sense of having a higher limit. If I change this to 5 and try to run, then the initial 5 employee IDs are going to get picked. Next in the list is between. Let's see. Over here, when I move to this employees column and I see the reports to, it has got 1 to 6. Let's see. Now I want to have all the employees that report to 2 to 6. So I'll see, select star from employees where reports to between 2 and 6. So you'll notice if I go and browse data, it shows reports to with 2 and 6. Let's see if there would have been an entry with ID as reports to as 3. In this case, what would have happened is the third reports to would have also come into the answer while we are executing the query. Let's try and see by inserting one data into this. So let's say we'll put over here Yuvraj Singh, and here's a cricketer and he reports to 3 and the birth date is close to around 1982 0105. I'll put the higher date as close to around 2005. His address is in Uttarakhand. City is going to be, let's say, Pimpri. State is UT and country is India. Well, if any of you guys are cricket fans, just kind of ignore this data and follow on to the example. Now, when I try to run, you'll notice that the reports to 3 is now being displayed. Now, let's go on to the list again. In the in keyword over here, for example, the next in keyword comes handy when we are trying to filter data along with and. Let's see, select star from invoices. So let's go to the invoice table. Now over here, what I can do is put up a where as customer ID in, and I can mention 40 and 39. Just let me remove this Paris. Yeah, 2, 39. Now when I try to run my code, you'll notice that over here customer ID 2 and customer ID 39, all the data gets displayed. So let's say if I would have one more customer with an ID, let's say 57, then I can just fill it up over here and try to run the query. What you'll notice that 57, 39 and 2, all this data get picked up from my table and then accordingly is being displayed. Next in the list is the like. Let's say if you are searching for a name into any table, let's go to the customers wherein there is first name and last name. Let's say in a scenario where you would have select star from customers, where first name, and I'll put like EET, or let's say last name as EET. So let me put last name as EET. And now when I try to run my query, you'll notice that last name with Peters got displayed. So basically this serves as a wildcard argument which kind of filters the data in the column and gives us the matching results. Next is null. So let's see over here, if the company is null, then I'll need all those customers data. So I can write a query select star from customers where company is null, and I'll try to run my code, which basically gives all the data wherein the company is null, and that too from the customers table. The filtering was kind of helpful so that you can now understand how to cherry pick the data out of the table. Moving ahead, I'm going to talk about some important concepts into Flutter. In fact, it's not only applicable to Flutter, in general software engineering. We're going to talk about what is primary key, what is a foreign key, and also kind of establish a relationship between these. How we can have two tables interrelated, and how we can set up constraints. Few things that goes behind good software principle as an engineering will try to see. But for that, you need to stay tuned and keep learning with open minds.